mean, I began quite naively, really. I mean, I'm not a trained photographer. I'm not a trained anything, really. I'm a psychologist, maybe. But I'm not a true historian. I'm not a writer. I'm not anything. It's just this passion for the people of Hessle Road. They're the inspiration. I think the answer is no, in a nutshell. The Arctic trawlermen were the last of the hunters, and it was the most dangerous job in the world. You know, it still is, you know, around coastal communities throughout Great Britain and the world. You get your fishing communities, and so they pay a heavy price. You know, was it Scott who said, that's not the price of fish because it's paid in men's lives, and that's still true today. And I think the Royal National Mission to deep sea fishermen talk about a fisherman being lost once every 8 days. So it's still dangerous. But, and especially when we talk about, you know, lost trawlers and disasters, the triple trawler tragedy, the Gull, etc. We know these big dates. For the men, sadly, it's the end of the story. But for the women at home, it's the beginning of their hardship. And I remember when I first began doing talks about Hessle Road and looking at the community, people used to compare it with mining villages, and I went along with that. But the more I've thought about it, with a mining village, you know, they're spread throughout Great Britain and the world. You know, Newcastle and you know, in Yorkshire and down in Kent, and you know, all over the Wales. And you might have a disaster one year, then 3 or 4 years, another one later on. And the thing about that is, if there's a mining disaster, they can get to the pit head. The journalists can be there, the owners can be there, the families can be there, the survivors can be there. You know, the rescuers can all be there, and the media can be there and interview everybody. In Hull, and you know, my Lost Trawlers of Hull book, you've got disasters every winter, and it's always hitting the same community every time. And there's nowhere to go. It's no good going to the Bullnose, the Lockhead, because there's nobody there, and sadly the ship's not going to come back. There's nowhere where, and the mission to deep sea fishermen, and before that the Fishermen's Bethel, these are the Bethel boards, they would go around to individual houses breaking the news, as they used to say, of the lost men. So the widows and the orphans were isolated in their own homes, and there was no focal point for them to go to. And that's why we had such a struggle with Lost Trawlermen's Day service, or getting a memorial to the Lost Trawlermen. It's taken all these years, because there's never been this focal point. And so the answer, I think, to repeat, is no. They're not as fully recognised. And although, so like I say, the men got the headline with the losses, but the thing is, it made with the men away, the wives were mother and father both to the children. And so what happened was, in your typical terrace that would be around St John's, Newington here, the streets, the mother's daughters might get married, and a house down the terrace might become empty. So she'd speak to the landlord or the rent collector and say, "Oh, my daughter's getting married next week at St John's or wherever, the Bethel. Can she move in? You know, in the new, you know, the landlords, the landowners would be keen to encourage them. So you built up a wonderful matriarchy of the women. And coming at the time of disaster, your older widows, you know, maybe in the 50s or 60s or older, and the grannies certainly, they would help the younger widows to come to terms with the loss. And you didn't need your psychologists like me or social workers. The community was self-contained, a village within a city, and it looked after its own, and that was part of it. So no, the women are still, you know, well, it's like in society, women are still not getting the equality they strive for. And sad to say, you know, my partner, she's a poet, and she feels that the male poets dominate the whole scene. And so women are still getting shortchanged in life, I'm afraid.